Okay, time for the next segment now. Another special guest. Incoming, upcoming. We have Caroline Parke. Welcome to my show. Finally, nice to have you on.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on your show.
Brilliant. Where in the world are you situated right now at this moment?
I'm on the Alberta-Saskatchewan border, in Western Canada.
Very nice. You just saying that just sounds nice.
Oh,
I can picture it. Um,
yeah,
I know you're very busy with your your day-to-day job, doing your farming and
yeah.
but music is another sideline of yours. Do you remember writing your first ever song?
I actually do. I think I was I know what house I was living in, and I was sitting in the living room, and the sun was just coming through the window, and I looked at the couch and the pattern on the couch, and I just started writing. And I ended up writing a song about me and my dad, and childhood memories with my dad. And even though I had a tumultuous early adulthood, I guess, like between 16 to 21, I had a horrible life. But for some reason, it's all just water under the bridge, and we've come back, and we're a whole family, and it's really beautiful to cherish the good and forget about the bad. So
Sure. Are your songs written from personal experiences then?
I'd say like 90% of them are like personal experiences and storytelling. I do have the odd song that's like completely made up, but not too many of
Mm.
those.
And you also release songs on a periodic basis, like say monthly. How important is to keep releasing music?
Well, they say you're supposed to, do it regularly, and I do. Like, I actually, since I started songwriting and releasing, I've done an album every single year, and generally I pick like the first two or three strongest songs, and I'll release them as singles, and then I'll release the entire album after a few months. But this time around, I thought I'm gonna release a song on the first Friday of every month, and then I thought, well, then I'll release the whole album in June. And so that'll be 6 singles, that's lots. And then I thought, you know what? I'm having so much fun. Like, I get to email all the radio people, and I get to set up little interviews, and then I get to do a music video. And I thought, I have 12 songs on my album. I'm gonna go for it. It's 12 months in the year. It makes sense. So I'm gonna actually release my album for sale, like the hard copy, which, a lot of people aren't into that anyhow. But I have hard copies, and I'm gonna announce that in the next month, for the locals around here or whoever wants me to pop one in the mail. But the actual album digitally, I'm gonna just release once per month, and I'm gonna keep going because I'm having so much fun making the music videos that go with them.
That's
So
amazing to hear. It seems like you know what you're doing. Brilliant. I mean, your new single just come out. I mean, I'm finding it hard to keep up with you, just myself, in a good way. The Windowsill of Flowers that follows up singles "Look Me in the Eye" before that "Hello Little Bird." So, Windowsill of Flowers. What's that song about?
that one is about my transition from being single and having a lack of flowers in my life to entering motherhood. So it's kind of a celebratory song about my firstborn, Susan, and watching her kind of grow up. She's 11 years old now. And so on my previous album, I wrote one about my other daughter, Shirley. And so this is a follow up. I thought I need to swing around and do a song for each of my children. And so, yeah, I think since I had my first child, I've never had a lack of flowers in my life since, because we go for, and I've actually, there's other songs I've written in the past that were talking about how we go for walks and everyone brings flowers, and all the kids would stick them behind my ears, and we like to identify with little flowers and big flowers. Every spring there's like the buffalo beans, and then there's
Hmm.
the crocuses. And so I really, and my husband made the girls beds when they were toddlers, and he carved with a CNC machine. He carved a crocus and a daisy on each of the girls' beds. And so I kind of focused on that in that song, highlighting how she got her name, because he wanted to name her Lily. But I had such a long labor, it was like 56 hours, that when it was done, it was like, I'm the boss of this baby, and her name is Susan, because he gave me brown eyed Susans when we were dating. And so when she was like 3 weeks old, I was holding her, and I thought, "I wonder what Susan even means," And I looked it up, and he comes in the house And I said, "You'll never guess what Susan means, honey." And he says, "What?" "It's Hebrew for lily." Like, you can't make this stuff up. So I thought it was really important to include that in the song.
Wonderful backstory there.
Yeah.
And I love your songs. Well, a few of your songs do have a horticultural theme, horticultural being like in the garden. So Walk Me Through Your Garden, that's one of your singles, is
Yeah.
doing really, really well on your audience figures.
Isn't it? So it was, I did an album review. That was from my, Walk With Me album. I think it was 2021. And I did an album review with a gentleman out of Georgia, and he said, "I'm gonna pitch one of your songs for my top 10 countdown." And I said, "Why?" I said, "Go for it." So like 10 months later, he gets back to me. He says, "I'm gonna pitch this song next week, just FYI." And I said, "Why would you choose that song?" And he said, "That's the song he put a star next to during the album review." And I said, "Well, there's other songs on that album that are a lot stronger than that song." And he said, "This is the song. If you don't mind, just trust me." And so being on that top 10 countdown, it was on there for I think 8 or 9 weeks, and it triggered something on Spotify.
It's amazing. Like just like the smallest of radio stations that this interview may go on, just one person might pick it up, and then that might lead to like open the floodgates.
It's very cool when something goes when like an interview of mine goes on the radio, I know because it dings on my phone. People from this area of the world are going to your website, and it's kind of like it's an instant world, and it's very cool to see evidence. Like when I email out my stuff, I know that there's DJs all over the world that are
Mm.
clicking on my website, and so that's really cool.
Mm. When your work pays off, it's you feel rewarded, don't you? You feel fulfilled.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
it's like it really is, it's a beautiful hobby, and it's something that is not child rearing, and it's not farming.
Mm.
It uses my creativity, like, sometimes working on a farm, you're often isolated, right? You're just out there slugging away by yourself, and I write so many songs,
Mm.
while I'm vacuuming or or while I'm out in the field doing something, by myself, and I just have my phone with me, and I just start recording, and then when I get home, I pick up my guitar, and yeah, it's very
And when
relaxing.
when you're writing the words to your lyrics, and then you're putting the melodies and the tune together, and then you're composing and producing, do you have a particular person you work with on your projects?
Well, specifically my instrumentals, I have someone in Denmark, I think he lives or the Netherlands.
Like
He's a guy.
Scandinavia way?
Yeah, so he's from Saskatchewan, but he moved to Scandinavia, married a lady there, and so I just email him I have an audio clip and I have the tab I wrote out because I write on the violin as well as the guitar. And so when I'm doing instrumentals, I'll compose them on the violin and then I'll send him my chicken scratch because I'm not like a brilliant person with music theory. So I just write out the ABCs and then I send it to him. He puts it into sheet music and voila, like it's a beautiful thing.
It's fascinating, isn't it? Like, especially during those COVID times, people working remotely, the power of
Yeah.
technology, I guess, these days.
Yeah, and I don't even actually know him. He's just
Uh,
a contact that I approached this other lady that I do know, and she said, "I don't have time for that, but this guy does." And so it's been really a great relationship. He's probably done a dozen songs for me on sheet music for when it's required. Like I don't play the instruments as well as I would like to, so I generally will compose and then I'll hire out the instrumentals to
and you just
professionals.
and you mentioned earlier on in this interview, you like the element of putting together your own music videos. Is that filmed like, say, in your surroundings, like your
Yeah.
home territory?
The Windowsill of Flowers, I literally just walked out. I had a shower, I did my hair, and I went to film, and I'm like, "Where are the kids?" I went in the house. "You get out here right now, and everybody better be on the swing smiling in 5 minutes." And so I sang the song into the camera, and the kids are in the background on the swing set, and that was pretty much the entire video. It was just me walking around my house because the view is we have no shelter belt, we don't have any trees, and we're up on a little bit of a hill, and so it was a beautiful evening, and it was a beautiful view, and I think I shot that at about 5:30, 6 o'clock in the evening, and it was a very still night. There was like a tiny breeze, so it was just really sweet.
Hmm. What do you enjoy being about a self-release artist? So you being your own creative, having your own creativity with your music, control.
Yeah, like a few people have asked about deals with record companies, and I'm like, well, I'm not really in a place where I could take orders from people because I have so much going on in my life. And you have to ask yourself, why are you doing this, right? Like, is it to uh for me, I'm doing it to get through motherhood and to accent my life in a meaningful way. If my music gets a wider audience or gets famous for some reason, I'm not opposed to that. But I don't know if I myself want to be at the center of that. I would prefer if someone famous took my songs
Hmm.
and made them into something cool, so I could keep my little life I got going here.
I think it's wonderful. Like what you're doing now. You're at a happy place.
Absolutely. I am. I live a pretty simple life. I know online it looks a little bit different, but really I have everyone says, "Well, how are you juggling so much? How can you do it all?" And it's like, "Well, when you don't have to drive and commute and go to work 8 hours a day, you actually have quite a bit of time. Like I
Mm.
have to do laundry and I have to do dishes. I have to be thoughtful about raising my children, and we homeschool now. We started that last year. So that's another thing I'm juggling. But like it's amazing how much time people waste in their lives,
Mhm.
and I try not to waste. So,
And speaking about spare time and when you got like downtime, what do you enjoy doing? Like when you get the chance, like I read like you enjoy like cuisine, cooking.
yeah, I have a couple shorts on my YouTube channel if you guys wanna learn how to do home canning. Like, I'm like, "Make salsa with me in 56 seconds," and so I've shown, like, people how to make pizza or farmer's pizza and, like, cinnamon buns and silly things like that, but aside from that, like, I really like getting together with people and playing music. I don't get a lot of that because of my location, but 2 or 3 times a year, I drive across the province of Alberta, 3 to 4 hours away, and, there's a group of bluegrass musicians there, and I've been having a ball with those guys, and that's actually, where I got the musicians for my most recent album, and so
Wonderful.
it really shows, like, the guitar picking and the fiddle playing is just, like, way awesome.
You mentioned like your channel where people can follow recipes and what have you. It's on YouTube as well, where just type Caroline Park.
Yeah, Caroline Parke with the E on the end, yeah.
Brilliant. Well, we'll make sure we'll get a few followers to do that for you. Thanks for joining me on today's show. Just find out a little bit about yourself and get you on the show and play one of your tracks on my show now for my listeners so they can have a little bit of a taster for what you do.
Fabulous. Well, thank you so much for having me on. I'd love to come anytime.
Brilliant. Thanks, Caroline. Great interview.
All right.